I'm gonna drop. Sorry. I got other things I gotta do. Good luck, folks.
Uh,
You're all
Jamie,
excellent.
thank you as always. Hi, everyone who are viewing this now and in the distant future. My name is Joseph Onorowski. I am the quartermaster, i.e., treasurer, and we are doing another live party, United States Pirate Party mixer informal because we don't meet quorum. With me today, in order, I see Ben.
Hey, Ben Horlick. I'm the PNC's bean counter and the Texas representative.
Jester.
Ashley Melody, I am Indiana Pirate Party.
Eli.
Eli McGee, Media and PR Director for the Massachusetts Party, and one of the representatives for the U.S.
I would have to say the first representative, or the primary representative, at least in my opinion. And last but not least, Jolly Mitch.
Ahoy. I'm Mitch DeVillo of the Chicagoland Nye, the Illinois Pirate Party, and the U.S. Pirates Lookout.
Now, thank you, one and all. I appreciate your warm and kind identifications. That being said, if anyone really remembers how I do things, I am totally just very, very laid back when it comes to meetings and how I do my meetings, and very, very informal. I just want to hear what you have to say, what's on your mind, and you guys can just go ahead and say it. That being said, I don't think there was an agenda put together for tonight, was there? Does anyone know?
I didn't see one.
No, I don't believe there was one.
So that being
Nah.
All right. So starting with old business, I know that we were talking about what's coming on with the upcoming platform and committees. I know in Treasury we have nothing that's really going on right now. Any reports that you guys want to share?
I'm probably not the one to speak on this, but I do just want to say I see the platform committee seems to autonomously be rearing up again, which is good. That one of the designated committees is running on its own, which is something that we always want to have happen. It looks like it's Shay from Kansas who's taking charge, as well as Dustin from the DMV. At least those are the two I saw. There may have been more in the meeting, but there was a bunch of messages, and I rarely check the Discord nowadays, so I do have to catch up on it. But just want to report. I don't know what they've been discussing, but it does seem like it's actively been going on, and hopefully we can hear something positive come out of the committee soon.
Yeah, from what I caught of it, it was discussing AI copyright, which is a really fascinating case. And so I would love to see what they're saying about that. There are a couple bills going for the Senate that I would like to bring to our attention. The one for the support packages for Ukraine and for both Ukraine and for Israel, as well as a little sneaky let's talk. There was something that we were discussing in the Pirate News in Massachusetts, but I'm kind of interested to see what is going to happen with what's going to happen from you gentlemen.
I'm sorry, Joe. You were you were cutting out towards the end of that, so I don't know how much of that that we caught. But I think what I heard is you said that there was a bill coming to the floor of Congress for funding regarding Ukraine, Israel, all that?
Yeah. So let me see if I can pull up those specific bills for you. Yeah, the House approves $95,000 billion in aid packages for Ukraine. And that bill is HR 5692.
I will say the one thing that no one seems to discuss when it comes to the funding of when it comes to these type of bills, especially for the Ukraine. And please do correct me if I'm if perhaps my own information is off kilter. But it's not like we're sending hard cash to Ukraine and Israel. What we're doing is this ends up being the something odd $1 billion worth of like weaponry and military grade equipment and things of that nature. And what this ends up being again is we're funding them in hopes that they win and that they pay us back for everything that we sent to them. And I think it's
Yeah,
dirty
well,
tactics, and I think it plays into how we built ourselves up during World Wars One and Two, where we're sending where we're getting rich off what is labeled the military industrial complex. And while I think that is noble cause and fighting for against an invading force, I commend the resistance. But we do have to acknowledge that it may not be as clear cut as we're trying to defend a nation in Europe by sending them weapons. I do think that the end goal may be that we are looking for a debt repayment plan from Ukraine more so than we're looking for just Ukraine to maintain their autonomy, so to speak.
I mean, we did the exact same thing when it came to Russia during World War II, and they literally just finished paying us off like a couple decades ago, or even not even a couple decades ago. Actually, as a Google search, when
I feel maybe this is just me here, but I feel like there's also a conversation to be had about how the United States uses these sort of like modern lend lease programs to sort of in debt other countries to us and force them to play, to dance to our tune, as it were, rather than, be able to choose their own fate.
Yeah, so Russia paid us off in 1971 for World War II, for all this equipment that we sent over for World War II. So that's like what, 30 years of payments for a total of 722 million. That was a lot of money back in that time. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. Our industrial complex, we can just outproduce typically just about any other nation. Our capacity for industrial is just second to none. And that's just, again, a big part of what has made America such a world power is how much we can produce or outproduce literally everybody else. Late modern certain countries are starting to catch up in that regard. But when it comes to our weapon technology, when it comes to our production ability, that's exactly how America has historically lined its pockets in the last century, was by, oh, there's a war over here, let's fund them. So, yeah, I don't know what the right answer is, but that's historically what has happened.
Yeah, I was just saying that I feel like there should be a conversation there at some point, because it's kind of one of those mixed morality sort of situations. Yeah, it's just something that we should maybe, like, have I feel like it is a good thing that we should bring up to talk about with other people later.
Well, on one point, it kind of goes like you look at China and their Belt and Road Initiative, and they go to Africa and they build hospitals and schools and airports. And while these are all fantastic things to build, you do look and you say, well, these countries become indebted to China, and now they fall under Chinese influence because they can't pay back their debts, and they lose their airport gets repossessed, or their hospital's now Chinese owned, or however it may be. And again, it is a morality thing. You have to say, well, is it better off that these countries that didn't have they're not going to have regional power, they're not strong states, but the people aren't suffering anymore because they have hospitals and they have schools? Same thing. Do we say, well, the people who were invaded by Russia, they were able to defend themselves, so it's a noble cause to do it? It's which I don't know. I don't know if trying to indebt your way into influence over a country, period, regardless of whatever your underlying factor, your presented factor is, what you're doing for them. Should we be actively trying to influence other countries in such a manner? My gut feeling tells me no, but I don't run a near imperial or imperial country, so I couldn't tell you.
What is predatory lending? That's lending something in order to literally piggyback off of somebody to the point where it's absolutely detrimental to who you're piggybacking on. And so we can't really point a finger and be like, China bad, but then go ahead and do the
It's one of those things
thing
where,
with a different
sure,
tool.
you can say China bad, but in the same breath, you have to look at the US, because the US does the exact same fucking thing to literally every country it can get its little grubby hands on. I mean, like, look at the IMF. Like, literally, a condition of being able to get a loan from the IMF is letting American companies come in and privatize all of your shit. And if you are, if you want to, develop your economy as a small third world country, and your choice is the IMF, which will force you to give up all of your natural resources to Western corporations, or China, it's, you're dead if you do, dead if you don't.
Your money, and they're not going to say no because they're desperate. And that's how it is.
Yeah,
Now, is it good? Well, it goes back into that morality. Is it good because at least they're given an opportunity to defend themselves instead of having a foreign nation just come in and be like, well, now you're part of us. But
yeah,
at the same time,
I can, like, feel in the back of my head, like, I can feel like, it's like I feel like I need to read, like, what is it? Sorry to bring him up, but Lenin's Imperialism, the Final Stage of Capitalism, because I feel like maybe there's something for me to learn from that one, considering that, these is sort of like a sort of economic imperialism over third world countries who don't have the ability to be able to compete, or even be able to start raising these standards of living, and start being able to actually exist in the modern economy without playing a subservient role to other developed nations.
Well, I suppose one of the big things is that as we have this present model that the UN has these recognized countries, that these nation states that we have, it's kind of set in stone that many things are going to define whether or not you can be a power. Like a nation like Costa Rica, a small nation in Central America, is never going to be a global superpower. Uh, However, a country like Indonesia, which is in a strategic location that and has a large population, is a large country, uh, and that could potentially one day find itself vying to be if not a regional superpower, a global superpower. So as we see the nation state model, we are going to always have this kind of dynamic of, well, the bigger, the larger nations are going to get the chance to be the regional power, so to speak. If we don't address that, I guess we are always going to be stuck in this cycle of, well, is it right that the United States is, bullying smaller nations, or China is uh also targeting smaller nations. It's as long as we have the nation state model, I think that it's an inevitability.
By the way, I want to just give a quick shout out to Papa Dukes in the pirate chat. Happy to have you along.
Yeah,
So,
it feels
yeah, no, go ahead.
it's definitely one of those things where until we have a significant paradigm shift in international relations and with just, you know, the way our global economy is run, we're going to be having this issue constantly pop up for the foreseeable future. And the only way to really oppose it is to actively and constantly be bringing these topics up, because we I feel like the more aware we are of this, both as individuals and as a society, the more likely at least we'll be able to do something about it in the far-flung future, but we don't really have anything to do about it right now.
Something that Papa Duke said in the chat is balance of power politics will always lead to war, especially when you add the element of hardcore nationalism.
I mean, yeah, we are seeing another. I do feel like we could have another major war on the scale of the First World War here, regarding just how many different countries are going through this sort of ultra nationalist phase right now. I mean, India straight up has the Hindu ultra nationalists who want to, well, depending on who you ask, get rid of or just completely kill everyone who isn't a Hindu. I mean, straight up, their leading party is an Hindu ultra nationalist party that believes that the Muslims are like the devil. I mean, and look at us. Straight up, our half of our government is a single party being led by a madman who only is doing it because he wants to feel like he's, some genius. And all of his little cronies that surround him are doing it because they want to have this sort of Christian nation state that has never existed.
Well, I mean, the Catholic Church, the dudes with the funny hats, they already said that World War III has started, and as far as the war, there was a really close call between Israel and Iran as far as two superpowers, with the
Just to
whole
make, sorry, not to interrupt, but it is pronounced Iran. It's not Iran, it's Iran. Sorry. Just my American ass correcting the other American. It's like, no, it's Iran. It's not Iran, it's Iran.
Yeah, please excuse me. I grew up in the woods, so
No, I don't blame you. It's like all of American news media says Iran, and I'm like, no, if you actually talk to people who've been there, it's pronounced Iran.
Hmm.
Real quick, my
Um,
apologies. I do have to dip out. Just thank you guys for holding the impromptu meeting. Joe, thank you for leading it. And then I will be in Massachusetts Wednesday through Friday this week. So go vote pirate. I'll see you guys around.
CMH.
Yeah. So as far as what I was trying to say was we missed a full scale war, but just barely because the response back from Israel to Iran was a relatively weak response. And I think that's mainly because Israel wasn't trying to really start off a war between the two states, you know, showing that they could strike back, but again, held back their punch as much as they could.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of like made me like breathe a sigh of relief, because if that war happened, then that would have just been really, really, really bad, because that would just instantly go nuclear.
I don't think it would instantly go nuclear, but I know for a fact that if the Iran and Israel situation had blown itself out of proportion, you would have had a full on like Middle Eastern like regional war. Like it would basically, if that had gone hot, I do not doubt that the entire Arab world would have gone to war again, like they did during the what is it, the Yom, was it Yom Kippur or the 7 Day War or the 6 Day War? I can't remember which one. But I definitely think that had that happened, like had those two gone to blows, it would have turned into a full blown regional war between the between the various Arab powers and Israel. And I doubt I'm definitely thankful that apparently the Biden administration had the, sense to rein in Israel and prevent them from doing something stupid, because like legitimately we are not prepared for another Middle Eastern war, like at all. Like we just finally withdrew from Afghanistan, and now we are struggling to withdraw from like the rest of the Middle East. And if we were forced to commit to an already, what is it? If we were forced to commit to a war in the Middle East, and after we lost the last two wars we were in there, and then it was to support an ally that only 30% of the United States populace agreed to support, I do not doubt that that would have been like not only a major blow to Biden's like chances of reelection, but it have also just created a huge domestic political problem as well. And I feel like we also need to think about it that way. Like, uh, it's was Biden more concerned about a regional war, or was he more concerned about reelection, or what? At least that's my 2 cents.
Mm. Well, that being said, that I have there's only one more piece of that I have to bring up, um, and that is I started a GoFundMe last week to captain of the U.S. Pirates, Drew. So for you guys here on Jitsi, and I just if you can contribute anything, even if it's just a few dollars, just to help him recover from that. Don't want to go too personal in his medical history, but every little bit counts. That being said, updates from Massachusetts again. I am campaigning to run for state general assembly, which is state Congress, and again, I would really, really love any support. I am not accepting any donations. There is a couple things. Papa Duke says I'm getting policy. Look me up. Papa Duke, I will definitely take you up on that. And Daniel tweet full stream at C streaming would be useful. Yeah, we'll definitely look into that. Thank you, Daniel. So again, I have Mitch coming out on Wednesday. I'm going to show him how we're doing it, and hopefully he can run a similar campaign going out in the Chicagoland area. That being said, here's your link. And here's a link in the chat for the record.
Woo.
Again, that just that goes directly to Drew, and it helps him out for his past medical expenses. So, anything you can contribute would be appreciated. All right. Is there anything else you fine folks would like to discuss?
I know it's been a while, but what is it? I would have we like at all like been talking about future strategy like regarding after 2024? Like how are we going, like how do we plan out like maybe the next year and a year or two or so?
I think right now, well, personally with me, I'm hyper focused on the campaign and trying to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to at least be a thorn in the side for my competition, my Democratic competition. But
Is it only Democratic or?
in Massachusetts, it's pretty much if you're not a Democrat, you're not getting in. But
Man,
they
I'd
just
love
hold so
that.
much. Yeah, it's like democracy, but kinda.
It's democracy for the
on the
rich
local.
and democracy for the rich. That's what I like to call it. There is nothing for the poor.
On the local level, it's a lot different here in Massachusetts. On a local level, it's much fairer, and the bar is set a lot lower. However, for people who are for the higher levels, like state level and higher, it's very much an uphill battle. I do not have
Yeah.
do not have anywhere near the resources that Vanessa Howard has. And that's because I don't have the Democratic backing like she does. However, I don't think Vanessa's approaching it the way I'm approaching it anywhere near. And so the amount of conversations I've had with people, like either who's Vanessa or I hate her, is absolutely eye-opening. I don't think she even comes close to representing who these people are, because
Yeah.
I don't think she's actually really talked to any of them, or maybe just the higher echelon. And so the detachment that she would have. Now, don't get me wrong, the world takes all types, and there's definitely been an experience, both amazing and also kind of terrifying at times. But at the same time, I wouldn't have given up that experience for the world. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, there's nothing like a straight campaign where you go to meet everybody, or at least
yeah.
that's the goal.
I think what is it? I understand, BU as being someone who's actually currently campaigning, being focused on the campaign trail. I am considering the current developments of the two dominant parties at the moment. I am getting to a feeling where I feel like we should at least be trying to figure out where do we go if something goes wrong in this election. Have you heard of Project 2025?
No, I have not.
Oh
I think the
Jesus.
next. Let me look it up.
It's a Heritage Foundation thing, so be prepared. Like straight up, it is the Heritage Foundation's plan if they can get a Republican elected, and they don't care whether it's Trump or whoever. It's just when they can get the presidency next time, this is the plan they are making. It is kind of horrifying the level of degree that they are planning this out in the open, but it's essentially like basically a coup sort of plan. They're just apparently the Heritage Foundation is planning to essentially coup the United States government by having the president sort of rule by decree and get rid of every single like executive administrative administrative system. So like the FDA, the EPA, pretty much everything that they don't like is going to be removed from being in existence. So they can have whoever president they have on top rule by decree, essentially.
I'll have to look more into it. I'm not really familiar with it at this time. But
Oh
that
no, I
being said,
understand.
yeah, that being said, yeah, I'm just not familiar with it. But thank you
Yeah.
for bringing it to my attention.
Oh yeah. It was actually that reading part of that project documents that made me go like, we should probably be prepared for if something goes bad this year to possibly be ready to have to be forced underground, as it were, more than we already are, considering they are going literally in their own documents, they're saying they're going to start arresting political dissidents, essentially. Like straight up, they just admit we're going to arrest everyone who doesn't agree with us now, which is kind of funny to me because they think that they can try that, but I'm also kind of frightened because no one is really talking about it. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just like, that's got me worried, and I'm like, maybe we should start making preparations in the likelihood of that. You still there? Joe? Oh, well, I guess I'm the only one here now. Well, if anyone in the YouTube chat wants to say anything, ask away. I'll try and be here until 10 o'clock, or at least until Joe gets back. So if y'all want to ask me anything, now's the time.
Hi, sorry about that, Jester. I had lost my connection,
Ah, perfect. No problem. I
but
was
I,
just talking to the well, to the 5 people in the what is it in the YouTube chat. David Hall, what the flip just happened?
yeah. What happened is my FBI agent tried to put the kibosh on me. No, the internet, the internet at my current location, which is why it's sketchy or why I generally don't host these, is not stable. However, I'm only allowed one internet connection because crony capitalism, and it's awesome, just awesome, which is why I don't do it at this location normally, why I generally instruct others in the way, though I cannot reach it myself. So right now, thanks to my cell phone, I am continuing the stream, though at a much lower rate. Yay.
Terrific. Don't we love it?
Oh God, it's awesome. My internet is stitched together like something out of Frankenstein. Um, God, I remember this kind of reminds me back in the Telenet days. Not to date myself, but yeah. Have you ever seen a threat assessment report?
No, I have not.
It,
Mind explaining to me?
so it's a military report, and you can generally see some of the old school ones if you look at some of the old ones, and they're always, especially the ones from the Cuban Missile Crisis, it's just like if you saw the probably like one of the newer modern ones of like what our enemies are capable of doing, it honestly looked and really reminded me of one of those reports with the Project 2025.
Oh yeah.
And here's the real thing about it. There are always people looking to take away your rights in order to gain a sliver of power. And the whole reason why good people should be involved in politics, and the reason why we need good, level-headed, reasonable people involved in politics, is because we need to be able to have enough people in order to push back those who would do us harm. You know, those who just want to simply do the right thing. Because the world does take all types, and there are psychopaths out there. There are people who are manipulative. There are people who are willing to do the wrong thing. And we need enough good people to balance that out. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah, some days they'll win, but, time tells all things. And if you really want to look at somebody, look at how, not the words they use, but how they act. And, and look at the stances they take and look at whether or not they can accept responsibility for their own mistakes and, all the telltale signs of whether or not somebody's a good person. And over time, you're going to be able to tell whether or not that person deserves your support or not. So, that being said, yeah, I would keep an eye out for that. I would definitely raise hell if that happens or that comes to pass. But, I'm not going to worry about it until it happens or until it's proposed for real. So,
Well, I mean, the Heritage Foundation's already like working on it. Like, it's not just a proposal; it's straight up like, oh, like that is their big marketing thing right now. Like, that is what their plan is for this election. Like, I don't like. Sure, I understand that if it was like one or two people in the Heritage Foundation higher echelons, but this is their actual plan for 2024. This is their election strategy that we are seeing right before our eyes. And let's not beat around the bush here. The Heritage Foundation is the one of the largest political action groups in Capitol Hill. It's arguably the strongest one that the Republicans have. I feel like ignoring this is sort of ignoring the fact that what is like one of our biggest taglines is no safe harbor for the enemies of liberty. And the Heritage Foundation is basically openly saying, we don't care about liberty. We only care about our God's given faith and our God given right to hurt everyone who isn't us. Which to me, as someone is, not liked by them, I am kind of worried. Well, more than kind of, I'm incredibly worried. I mean, I'm gay. I am not, they do not like me or people like me,
Well, you're doing the right thing. So, what evil cannot exist in the light. So, you bringing to light and saying, hey, look at these people that are doing this awful thing. And, if enough people find out about it, then, they will get hated, they will get canceled. So, the best thing you can do is let people know what's going on. But that being said, I have to get up exceptionally early. So
oh yeah, no worries.
I am going to call it for tonight. but definitely, if you can, meet us next week. If you want to be a part of these live streams, we always want to see more heads, and next week I think is going to be an IRC, so all are welcome. If you want to attend the meeting and or get a chapter start of your own, or join one of our existing chapters, that would be great. So thank you so much, folks, and hope to see you on the next one.
Have a great night, everyone.
And we are off. Jester, thank you for